In this video, we got another episode of this series where I rate and improve your guys' teams. You guys will send me your teams on Twitter at X7Tanaka. I'll put out a tweet maybe once a week asking for squads, and then you guys will reply to that tweet with your team number 1 and then your MT amount so I can give you guys my best suggestions, and then you can potentially be featured in one of these videos. If you guys also want to comment down your team and MT amount down below on the YouTube video comment section, I'll try to get to as many teams as possible. Sometimes I get like upwards of 100 teams to go over, so I do apologize if I can't get to every single squad, but if you guys want a chance for me to look at your team and give you guys my suggestions, let me know your squad and MT amount down below in the YouTube comment section. But looking at the first squad here from my man Dimwitty, he's got 230,000 MT and a very solid squad. I mean, I would say this is easily a 9. Probably even like a 9.5, like pushing a 9.5. I'd say it's in between a 9 and a 9.5, maybe like a 9.2 or a 9.3 if you want it to be really specific, because this starting lineup is elite. I like the Alonso Mourning and Taco Fall combo. I think they're a great front court. I like Thurl Bailey just kind of as an all-around card, and then you got Steve Smith and Luka Doncic should just be your offensive threats and all-around great scorers on the offensive end. Your bench is good. I don't like Sabonis personally. I would rather Marc Gasol. I would rather Peter Gudmundsson over Sabonis, but if you personally like Sabonis more, then I think he's a great center card. I think you can maybe just upgrade your shooting guard position, go after like a Ricky Davis or a Big Z. Something like that could be something to look for. I don't really know, because you don't really need any upgrades. Like if you maybe wanted to go after Ron Artest over Jalen Rose, like you wanted to save up for Ron Artest and maybe upgrade him for your backup point guard spot, that could be something to do as well. But I think for this team, I'd maybe just look to get a better backup center. You know, I'd personally go Marc Gasol. I do think he's a lot better than Sabonis. And then I would also look to maybe get a Ricky Davis over Michael Redd or Big Z as well if you wanted to make a pretty big upgrade. Looking at the next squad here, coming in from Nicholas, I think this is how you pronounce his name, Nicholas Swain. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's got about 170,000 MT. He's got Jalen Rose and Tyson Chandler on the squad. They're just going to be graded right now, so that's why the spots are blank. So we got Jalen Rose as starting point guard, and then Tyson Chandler as our backup 5. I mean, another just great all-around team. I would say this is a solid 9 out of 10. A very complete squad. I mean, you really don't need too many upgrades at all. Like, you can just rock with this team. I would just maybe look for a better offensive card over Shane Battier, whether that's a Michael Redd, whether that's a Ricky Davis. I think that's really your only upgrade. I mean, maybe you could upgrade Sean Livingston to a, Hedo Turkoglu, because I think Hedo Turkoglu is a better point guard, but that's really preference at this point. So I would personally get Hedo Turkoglu to play your backup, or maybe even start him over Jalen Rose, and then also look to get a Ricky Davis to play, or maybe Michael Redd to play that backup shooting guard position. But all around, another really just complete team. Looking at the next squad here, coming in from 2KTV. I think that's how you say his name. Don't have much MT, but open to suggestions, and he thinks his team can definitely be improved. So yeah, this squad, you can make like a lot of upgrades. Even with like 50k, there's a lot of upgrades you can make. This squad's like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6, something like that. I'd say like a 5 out of 10. So for your lineup, I would only keep cards like Sean Livingston, Ricky Davis, and I think pretty much everyone else could go, because for your backup point guard position, I would go Isaac Bonga, about 5,000 MT, maybe 10,000 at the most. We'll just say 10,000 MT to be safe. He's going to be your backup point guard. For your backup shooting guard position, I would get a super cheap card in Michael Redd. He's also under 10,000 MT. For your 2 small forward positions, I think you can maybe go after Kyle Kuzma if you wanted to, but I would just get Shane Battier to play your backup 3 and maybe even start him. But then it depends how much MT you want to spend on the rest of your team. So let's just say Shane Battier is at small forward for now, and we'll just keep Rudy Gay off the bench, for the time being, because for the power forward position, there's really not too many great options. I would definitely get Dino to play one of your power forward spots, and then that Giannis card could probably come off the bench at the backup 4. And then for your 2 centers, definitely get Tyson Chandler and Mo Bamba. If you get those upgrades right there, your 10-man rotation can now look something like Sean Livingston, Isaac Bonga, Ricky Davis, and we'll go with Michael Redd. Small forward, we'll say Shane Battier, Rudy Gay. Power forwards, you would have Dino and Giannis. You can maybe start Giannis if you wanted to, and then have Tyson Chandler and Mo Bamba as your 2 centers. I think your team now becomes a whole lot better and actually usable in game, and that's with only spending 50,000 MT, around maybe a little bit more. You might have to save up to get 1 or 2 of those cards, but should be around 50k, and those are huge upgrades and just overall way better squad. But yeah, I'd say like a 5 out of 10 before the upgrades, and maybe like a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 after the upgrades. Looking at the next squad here, coming in from Matt, his budget is 400,000 MT, and he has a solid squad. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of cards like Lonzo, Jordan Poole. I think your bench could really use an upgrade, but I like Taco Fall, Kareem, AK. You know, Cade could play. I'd probably recommend selling Cade. I just don't think he's that great. I think what I would do for your squad is sell Cade, sell Scotty Barnes, get Hudo Turkoglu and Jalen Rose. I think they're going to be a lot better than your 2 point guards. I would also go ahead and sell Lonzo, and now you're going to be looking at a lot of MT to be spending on your squad. If you maybe wanted to go ahead and get a Ron Artest, you know, for your starting point guard position, you could, but if you wanted to save some MT, I would go Hudo Turkoglu starting the hero version, and then have Jalen Rose off the bench. For your 2 shooting guards, I would go Ricky Davis and Big Z. For your backup small forward, you can't sell Grant Hill, but I would just look to get a card like, there's a couple of different cards you can go with. I'd probably go Thurl Bailey to play your backup small forward position. I like your starting power forward, obviously, in Taco Fall. I think you could move Cream to your backup 4, and then for your 2 centers, get like a Marc Gasol, and maybe even save up for like a Kristaps if you wanted to. But once again, if you wanted to save MT, I'd move Cream to your backup 4, and then for your 2 centers, I would get like Marc Gasol and Peter Gudmundsson, maybe even Tyson Chandler. I think he's a great option as well. So I think your 10-man could look something, you know, if you wanted to get Ron Artest, you can, but if you want to save MT and build kind of like a good squad while also saving a lot of your MT account, I would probably go Hudo Turkoglu, Jalen Rose as your 2 point guards. I go Ricky Davis, Big Z as your 2 shooting guards. I would go AK and Thurl Bailey as your 2 small forwards. Then I would go Taco Fall, Cream as your 2 power forwards, and then I would go Marc Gasol and Peter Gudmundsson as your 2 centers. And I do think your team becomes a whole lot better. Looking at the next squad here, coming in from 2K King or Drew, he says Ben and others selling going to be around 3 million MT, and he needs big suggestions. He's got about 3 million MT to spend. I mean, I don't know how much if you actually want to spend all of that MT, but I'll spend a decent amount and give you some pretty big upgrades. So point guards, go Ron Artest, go Hudo Turkoglu. Pretty much done. Shooting guards, I would keep the same unless you wanted to upgrade to a Tim Thomas. I think actually, yeah, go ahead and get yourself a normal Tim Thomas. I really don't think there's too big of a difference, so I would get Tim Thomas for your shooting guard position, and then I'd have Ricky Davis or Big Z off the bench. For your 2 small forwards, I mean, once again, if you want to spend a lot of MT, Bull is an option, you know, 700k for his normal version. If you didn't want to go for like a Bull, I would get KG and get AK for your backup small forward position. Taco Fall is a really good power forward. He can obviously stay. I like Akima as well. He's going to be free and save some MT in the long run. And then off your bench, definitely get Kristaps to play your backup 5. And then I would honestly go for Marc Gasol to play your 4. So looking at your 10-man rotation, I would go Ron Artest, Hudo Turkoglu. I would go probably trying to think of a different shooting guard. Yeah, I would go Tim Thomas. I would go Tim Thomas starting shooting guard with Ricky Davis off the bench. For your 2 small forwards, I would go KG or Bull starting, have AK-47 or Big Z off the bench. You can maybe put Big Z in your last 3 spots just in case you need some more height. 2 power forwards, Taco Fall, Marc Gasol, and then 2 centers, Hakeem Olajuwon and Kristaps. I think for me, that team becomes a lot better, and I don't think I really spent that much MT on your squad, you know, comparing to, you said you had 3 million MT to upgrade. But yeah, looking at the next squad here, coming in from Allen, I think it's say his name. He's got about 700,000 MT, a squad that's, you know, fairly decent. I think you can make some pretty big upgrades, you know, to your point guard position. I'm not the biggest fan of Harden. If you like using Harden because, well, sorry, like I like Harden using him in game, but compared to the top point guards, I'd much rather a Jalen Rose, a Hudo Turkoglu. But if you like using Harden because he's Harden, then definitely go ahead and do so. I think you got a really well-balanced team. I'd maybe look to upgrade KG and go get a Taco Fall. I think you're kind of just missing that giant on your team so you can compete against the Tacos, the Yaos, the Manute Bulls if you do match them, the Kristaps. You need that like one giant card. So I definitely get Taco Fall, 2 players starting power forward position. I'd maybe go Marc Gasol back up 4, Brook Lopez back up 5, and then start Taco at the 4 with Hakeem Olajuwon at the 5. That's what I do personally for your squad. If you also wanted to maybe look to get a Big Z to play over Jared Wallace, maybe wanted to spend a lot of your MT and go ahead and get Tim Thomas, those are also suggestions, but mainly just get Taco Fall to play your power forward position. Next squad here is going to be our last squad here. The video is going to come in from F-Gun. He says 312k MT and asking for any improvements. A squad that I would say is like an 8.5 out of 10. Definitely a decent team, like 8 to 8.5. I think with 300k, once again, the only real big upgrade you can make for this type of team is Taco Fall, because everything else really doesn't move the needle that much. I think you've got great cards, great budget and just great all around cards at each position, that I think you just need that one guy to take you above the, take you to the next level, and that's going to be Taco Fall. So what I would do personally, if you really like Dino, you can still run him potentially, but I'd move Thorough Bailey to the backup 4, and then I would just go ahead and get Taco Fall for your starting power forward position, and then have Marcus All at center, and I think you're honestly perfect to go. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of this series where I rate and improve your guys' teams. Like I said earlier, let me know your guys' team and MT amount down below in the YouTube comment section, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.